The vehicle is being backed out of hangar number 3 at the Kennedy Space Center, and it'll be repositioned to be moved into the vehicle assembly building, where it'll then be put into its upright position and mated with the external tank and solid rocket boosters that are already there and in position, ready and waiting for the vehicle to be attached. All of this in preparation for the next Space Shuttle mission, STS-121, that is scheduled for launch in July. This activity from the Kennedy Space Center live at this time, it's just began about 15 to 20 minutes ago and should last under an hour. You can see some of the support personnel in this view as they're moving around and overseeing the delicate maneuvering of the vehicle as it's backing slowly out of the orbiter processing facility. This activity live from the Kennedy Space Center. That shuttle mission will be commanded by astronaut Stephen Lindsay, who will be leading his crew. They are all located here at the Johnson Space Center and continuing with their preparations and training for that upcoming mission. This is a different view with a little bit clearer illustration of the movement as the vehicle ever so slowly being backed out of that processing facility. You can just see a glimpse of the special vehicle that the Space Shuttle is mounted on for this activity, that to minimize any additional wear and tear on the landing gear of the Space Shuttle. Though it's out of view, the vehicle is going to be backed out and turned for its entrance into the vehicle assembly building, which is actually quite close by. All of this activity, even at this ever slow movement rate, will be done in generally less than an hour. This is Mission Control Houston, again with a live view from the Kennedy Space Center as the Space Shuttle Discovery is undergoing one of its milestones on its way to its return to flight mission in July. This view as the vehicle is being backed out of the orbiter processing facility at Kennedy Space Center. The vehicle is being maneuvered out and will be transported into the vehicle assembly building, also located close by right there on the Kennedy Space Center site, and it'll be put into a vertical position with a special crane located in that building, and then positioned and mated with the tanks that are already there in position. Shuttle Discovery has just made an appearance out of the orbiter processor facility. It's being backed out at a slow and delicate pace here to reposition it to bring it into the vehicle assembly building. You can see in this view the key support personnel staged at various locations helping to oversee this delicate work as the vehicle is being gently backed out. And also towards the back of your screen, other personnel just observing this milestone activity for the STS-121 mission.
And Huntsville Station, Space to Ground 2. I'm not sure I understand the intent of step 4.7, nor can I locate getting 2 syringes.
This is Mission Control Houston, bringing you live video from the Kennedy Space Center with the Space Shuttle Discovery, which has just been moved out from the orbiter processing facility and now being moved in the direction of the vehicle assembly building, which will be its next home as it is readied for its upcoming mission in July, that being the STS-121 mission, which will be commanded by astronaut Steve Lindsay. Lindsay flew as a pilot on STS-87 in 1997 and STS-95 in 1998, and was the commander on STS-104 in 2001. He'll be assisted on that mission by pilot Mark Kelly. You can see now the vehicle as it's making its approach to the vehicle assembly building located at the Kennedy Space Center, where it will go through the next stages for its preparation for the mission later this summer. You can see in this view the growing crowd there at the Kennedy Space Center at the fence line observing this activity as the vehicle is being transported to the vehicle assembly building. Discovery, also known as OV-103, is the third of NASA's fleet of reusable spaceships. It arrived at the Kennedy Space Center in November 1983 and launched on its first mission on August 30th, 1984. Discovery is named for two famous sailing ships, one sailed by Henry Hudson in 1610 to search for a northwest passage between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans, and the other by James Cook on a voyage during which he discovered the Hawaiian Islands. This is Mission Control Houston. We're continuing with live coverage from the Kennedy Space Center as you're watching Space Shuttle Discovery on its path from the Orbiter Processing Facility, making its way to the Vehicle Assembly Building. This activity, a key milestone in its preparation for its upcoming mission, STS-121, scheduled for July of this year. Once in the Vehicle Assembly Building, the Space Shuttle will be attached to a special crane, and that will position it in a vertical position and maneuver it close to the engine tank and solid rocket boosters, which are already in a position ready to be mated to the vehicle.
Two or three times.
It's a different view of that Space Shuttle vehicle activity at the Kennedy Space Center. It's just taken from a different vantage point, but again, coverage of the Space Shuttle Discovery as it's being relocated from the Orbiter Processing Facility and making its way to the Vehicle Assembly Building. All of that activity going smoothly. Activity beginning just about 30 minutes ago, and in this view you can see some of the key support personnel overseeing that activity, this delicate operation of moving the vehicle, and just some interested observers at Kennedy Space Center for this milestone event for NASA's next space shuttle mission. Also in this view you can see the entrance to the Vehicle Assembly Building, from which the orbiter will be entering. The Vehicle Assembly Building is one of the largest buildings in the world. It was originally built for assembly of the Apollo Saturn vehicles and was later modified to support the space shuttle operations. The external tank and the solid rocket boosters are already located in the Vehicle Assembly Building, and they're already put in position with each other, just awaiting their space shuttle vehicle, which will launch them into space again in July. The Vehicle Assembly Building covers 8 acres. It's more than 500 feet tall and 716 feet long. It encloses more than 100 million cubic feet of space. During the Space Shuttle buildup operations inside the Vehicle Assembly Building, integrated solid rocket booster segments are transferred from the nearby assembly and checkout facilities. They're then hoisted onto a mobile launcher platform in high bays and mated together to form 2 complete SRBs. The external tank, after arrival by the barge, is inspected and checked out in high bays as well, and then transferred to a different high bay to be attached to the solid rocket boosters already in place. The orbiter is then moved again from the orbiter processing facility to the VAB transfer aisle, which is the activity we're seeing now, and raised to a vertical position, then lowered onto the mobile launcher platform, and then mated to the rest of the stack. When assembly and checkout is complete, the crawler transporter enters the high bay, picks up the platform and assembled shuttle vehicle, and carries them to the launch pad. We will continue with Space Station, or this commentary hour, to bring you this coverage of the Space Shuttle Discovery's milestone, moving from the processing facility to the VAB. We'll return with regular NASA programming as soon as this activity is complete. This is a different view of the Space Shuttle Discovery as it's being maneuvered to enter the vehicle assembly building located at Kennedy Space Center. This is a vantage point from inside the vehicle assembly building, where the space shuttle will be entered and repositioned to be mated with the external tank and solid rocket boosters already in place. This activity, a key milestone in preparation for the next mission for Discovery, STS-121. The crew of Space Shuttle Discovery will continue to test new equipment and procedures that increase the safety of space shuttles. We'll also perform maintenance on the space station and deliver more supplies and cargo for the future station expansion. Discovery will also be bringing a third crew member to the space station, European Space Agency astronaut Thomas Ryder. This will be the first three-person crew since Expedition 6 crew returned to Earth May 4th in 2003. Discovery will also carry the Italian-built multi-purpose logistics module, Leonardo, with more than 2 tons of equipment and supplies on board for delivery to the space station. This will be the 4th trip to the station for Leonardo, the first of 3 Italian-built MPLMs. Likewise, equipment and supplies no longer needed on the station will be moved to Leonardo before its unberth and put back into Discovery's cargo bay. At this time, the Leonardo Logistics Module is inside the Space Station Processing Facility, also at Kennedy Space Center, in its final closeout operations and preparation for its mission. Astronaut Steve Lindsay will be the commander for the mission, and he'll be assisted by astronaut Mark Kelly, serving as the pilot for STS-121. In addition to Thomas Ryder, others along for the mission will be mission specialist Mike Fossum, Stephanie Wilson, Pierce Sellers, and Lisa Nowak. This will be the first mission for all of them except for Sellers, who's making his second space flight. Ryder again will remain on the station, working with the station crew under a contract between ESA and the Russian Federal Space Agency. As you can see in this view, the vehicle itself being transported and that operation going smoothly as it's making its entrance into the vehicle assembly building, appearing just past halfway through in the vehicle assembly building, which for comparison purposes is about 200 feet taller than the Statue of Liberty. Once inside, the vehicle will be attached to a special crane that will rotate it into a vertical position and put it in position to be mated with the tanks, external tank and solid rocket boosters already in place there.